Breaking tonight, new questions about leadership, credibility, and trust in Washington, as well as our media, after the Kelly file exposes the latest whopper told to the American public. Welcome, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. What is the result when our elected officials mislead us, intentionally or otherwise? We asked that tonight thanks to House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, but it is not all about her. Yesterday, Ms. Pelosi held her weekly media briefing, which she used in part as an opportunity to attack the Supreme Court's decision in the Hobby Lobby religious freedom case, parroting criticism from Democrats like Harry Reid and suggesting the 5 justices in the majority changed the laws on contraception. Listen.
We should be afraid of this court, that 5 guys should start determining what contraceptions are legal or not. That court decision was a frightening one, that 5 men should get down to the specifics of whether a woman should use a diaphragm and she should pay for it herself or her boss. It's not her boss's business.
That would be frightening if it were true, but it wasn't. And yet, despite Ms. Pelosi's leadership position and the fact that some media ran with her statements, not one major media outlet bothered to challenge her on her purported facts. Not one until this broadcast last night. Nancy Pelosi either doesn't know what she is talking about or is intentionally misleading you. First of all, the gender of the justices in the Hobby Lobby majority is totally irrelevant. Ms. Pelosi's reference to it is obviously an attempt to stoke resentment. When Roe v. Wade was decided, it was all men in the majority. Does Ms. Pelosi think those justices were ill-equipped to fairly decide that case? Or is it only when a judge disagrees with Ms. Pelosi that his gender is an issue? If Speaker John Boehner made a similar comment about the female Supreme Court justices, Nancy Pelosi would be crying sexism. And that's what she is guilty of here. Moreover, the 5 men in the Hobby Lobby majority did not, I repeat, did not, quote, determine what contraceptions are legal. Nor did they, quote, get down to the specifics of whether a woman should use a diaphragm, end quote. What a gross misrepresentation. Newsflash. All birth control that was legal before this decision remains legal today. The High Court simply found that a religious freedom law, which was co-sponsored by none other than, wait for it, Nancy Pelosi, sometimes protects corporations from being forced to violate their religious beliefs. She co-sponsored the law that gave them that right. Neither the High Court nor Hobby Lobby took issue with Kathleen Sebelius' minions over at HHS mandating behind closed doors after Obamacare was passed that companies cover birth control, 16 forms of it, in fact. But the majority did say that Hobby Lobby still had the right to object to covering just 4 forms of birth control that happen to terminate a fertilized egg, which some believe is abortion. No one ruled those contraceptives were illegal, and the diaphragm was never even discussed. It wasn't even one of the birth control forms at issue, which Ms. Pelosi should really know, since she famously promised us that after Obamacare was passed, at some point, we'd know what was in it. Yeah, I was so outraged that my hair was standing on edge. It's calmed down today. Well, late today, the fact-checking website Politifact, which we called out yesterday evening, took up our challenge. They looked at Ms. Pelosi's statement and, not surprisingly, rated it false. When Politifact called Ms. Pelosi's office for a statement, her media person said the minority leader, quote, misspoke. She misspoke? What part? When she said 5 guys were determining what forms of contraception are legal? When she said how frightening that is? When she then doubled down and specifically alleged that these scary 5 men, quote, got down to the specifics of whether a woman should use a diaphragm? Give me a break. One of the marks of a real leader is owning up to one's mistakes. Oh, yeah, honesty helps a lot, too. So why does this matter? Because trust in our government is at historic lows. Because a majority of Americans think this administration regularly lies to us. And because those falsehoods can be told with impunity if a complicit media stands idly by. Joining me now, Kirsten Powers, Fox News political analyst, and Mark Thiessen, who's an American Enterprise Institute fellow. Thanks to both of you for being here. Kirsten, let me start with you on whether it matters and whether the American public should sit idly by, as so much of the media has, and just say, yeah, she misspoke, that's fine.
Of course it matters. And I think that the idea that no media questioned what she said when it was so clearly wrong unless maybe, I don't know, Megan, do they not know that? Do they not know enough about the case to know that that's not what happened? That nobody would question, other than you, would question the fact that she's attacking 5 members of the Supreme Court, basically, I guess, alleging because they're men, they're not allowed to rule on Supreme Court cases, misrepresenting what they ruled on. So I think it's very important, and I think it is part of the reason people have lost trust in all institutions in this country, is because these kinds of things are said. Nobody challenges them out of, like I said, you're the only one who challenged it, and it makes people feel like they're going crazy.
Do we care, Mark? I mean, it's like, okay, it's Nancy Pelosi. She only happens to be the House Minority Leader. It's not like she said it at a cocktail party. It was at her media briefing. The media were all standing there. But does it matter? I mean, do people just say, you know what? They all lied. They lie to us day in, day out. And to be fair, it does happen on both sides.
Well, sure, it happens on both sides, but I think if this was just one individual thing, it might be forgivable, but it's part of a pattern. I mean, Nancy Pelosi was out there selling the same lie as Barack Obama, that you can keep your health care plan and you can keep your doctor. And in fact, she was saying it long after he conceded it wasn't true. So, there's a pattern here of misspeaking. And President Obama was just a few weeks ago complaining about cynicism in our country. This is why people are cynical, because they believe their government lies to them on a regular basis. There's a Fox News poll in April that 61% of the American people believe that Barack Obama lies on important matters most of the time or some of the time. Not on little lies, important matters. And if you throw in the people who think from time to time, it's 84%. That is a stunning figure of the number of people that think the President of the United States knowingly lies to them about important matters.
Is there anyone left to root for in Washington, Kirsten? Because I want to take you back to 2008 when Barack Obama was, as some called him, the anointed one. And even many Republicans voted for him because they believed he was going to be a different kind of politician and he was going to change Washington. And I showed this moment earlier this week because he went out to Colorado and it was, crickets. You could hear the crickets chirping when he got there because nobody was there to greet him and none of the politicians wanted to be seen with him. And we contrasted it to this moment in 2008 when so many believed he was the change. Watch. What do you think? Anyone? Is there anyone left to root for in Washington? He did not turn out to be the politician so many thought he would be. Kirsten?
Yeah, look, I voted for him, and one of the reasons, there were many reasons that I voted for him, but I have to say one of the reasons was precisely what you said. And I voted for him over Hillary Clinton in the primary, partly because I didn't want to go back to the era of the Clinton era where I felt there was a lot of things going on, too much partisanship, and he promised a post-partisan presidency. I think we all remember that. And he's ended up being one of the most divisive and most partisan presidents I think we've ever had. That's not to say the Republicans have done a great job. I don't think they have. I think the trust in government isn't just because of the low trust in government isn't just because of Obama. It's also because of Republicans. There's really nobody that I think there's a lot to say positive about. But the president did say that he was going to restore trust in government.
He said it and people believed it. When you looked at those 80,000 people in Invesco Field, they believed in him. They thought he was going to be a transformational figure. And Mark, instead, when he got to office, it's not just the president. It's those he surrounded him with. And it's a lot of the leadership under him and under his administration. We've seen misrepresentation after misrepresentation. Here's just a little bit of the highlight reel.
First of all, if you've got health insurance, you like your doctor, you like your plan, you can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan.
The single adjustment that was made to those talking points were changing the word consulate to diplomatic facility.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly.
With regard to the potential prosecution of the press, that is not something that I've ever been involved in, heard of, or would think would be a wise policy.
No mass corruption.
Not even mass corruption, not even a smidgen of corruption.
The one thing we're going to do during this work period is to ensure that women's lives are not determined by virtue of 5 white men.
I mean, these are not minions, Mark. These are major figures in America right now.
No, absolutely. And look, I think Kirsten's right that there's blame to go on both sides. But I think it's that people are frustrated more than they're not just frustrated with dysfunction in Washington. They're frustrated that they're being knowingly lied to by their elected leaders. I mean, President Obama's signature initiative was sold on the basis of a lie. The President of the United States lied to the American people about the nature of a terrorist attack. These are big, big things. But I'll inject a note of optimism because he asked a question, is there anyone to trust in Washington? No, there's nobody really to trust in Washington, not that many. There are a few. But what Gallup has also found that 62% of Americans have confidence in state government. And so what you had out there in the countryside is a lot of, I mean, while Obama's been in Washington, beneath the surface, there's been a Republican takeover of state government. You have not a single Republican governor has lost since 2007. You've got half the country living in states where Republicans control both the state house and the legislature. It's been a huge increase of Republican leadership. And you've got these reformers like Scott Walker, like Kasich, like Governor Schneider, who are really doing things that people approve of and like. And so I think you have, outside of Washington, political leaders who are reformers who are going to bring a change to Washington, and that's a reason for hope, even if Washington is mired in dysfunction.
Great to see you both.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Megan.
Let me know what you think. Do you believe Nancy Pelosi misspoke? Go to facebook.com/Megyn Kelly or follow me on Twitter @Megyn Kelly and let me know.